Within its regional network, Philippine Airlines often relies on the Airbus A321. While I have covered Philippine Airlines in multiple videos on this channel, including some flight reports, I've yet to do one on a narrow-body aircraft that the airline heavily relies on for its intra-Asia flying. So I finally got the chance to do so on a recent trip to Guam, though I will be covering the return flight from Guam to Manila in this edition of Travels with Flights in Asia. Good morning and hello from Guam, where we start this video, or as the locals on this Western Pacific US territory would say, half a day. For this flight between Guam and Manila, we are starting off in the early morning, taking a drive to the airport. Philippine Airlines operates daily flights to and from Guam, which is considered Philippine Airlines' fifth destination in the US. Guam is a familiar place for this channel, as I have done a previous flight report on the outbound flight from Manila to Guam, which was served by an Airbus A330 a few years ago. If you want to watch that video, I have included a link in the description below. The outbound flight from Manila typically departs in the late evening along with the other long-haul US flights. Following its arrival in the early morning, the aircraft is typically serviced before departure around dawn. The estimated flight time each direction is around 4 hours. Upon arrival at the Guam Airport, there is a dedicated area for check-in for Philippine Airlines and an airport which serves as a hub for United Airlines. After checking in, you can proceed to the TSA security check, though if you do have time to spare, you can check out the artwork which highlights the local culture and other tropical scenery. Because Guam is a U.S. territory, the U.S. Transportation Security Agency covers the security checks at the airport, something that will be very familiar for those of you who travel to and from the U.S. Once in the pre-departure area, there are still more cultural references, and some of the signage does include Chamorro, the local language. Even during the early in the morning, there are enough shops and actually the food court is open, though if you are a Mabuhay Miles Elite member or traveling in business class, you'll be able to access the Sagan Visita Lounge. For those interested to see what's in there, I highly suggest you watch Jeb Brooks' experience traveling on Korean Air from Guam to Seoul's Incheon Airport made a few years ago, which includes his visit to the lounge. Since it was dark outside, I really couldn't do much plane spotting, especially there was the United 777 operating the daily Guam-Honolulu flights, as well as the United 737s operating the flights to Japan that morning. Speaking about United, it is considered the hometown airline of the island, and there is even a United Club located at the airport. Now back to our Philippine Airlines flight, everyone was just waiting around the hallway. While the assigned gate was actually close to security, there wasn't really much of a lounge area. For this flight, it appears most people would hang out at the food court or other parts of the terminal before heading to the gate for boarding, and it wouldn't be long for boarding to commence for our Airbus A321 aircraft. This aircraft is more of the older Airbus A321s with the older interior, without the personal screens in economy class. A very familiar one for those who fly Philippine Airlines with the 3-3 configuration. In economy class, Philippine Airlines does provide the pillow and a blanket, along with the usual safety card and the air sickness bag. While there is no personal screens for entertainment, This aircraft is equipped with the wireless entertainment system, and a guide for how to log in is provided. As the sun rose, it seemed my streak of delayed flights on Philippine Airlines would be broken, as we would actually depart on time. Guam really isn't much of a busy airport, and we were very much the only aircraft taxiing and taking off that time. I'll take a break for you to experience this unique morning departure from Guam.
Cabin crew takeoff stations.
After takeoff and the fasten seatbelt sign was turned off, through an announcement, we were informed that we could access the Wi-Fi entertainment system. You can log in using your tablet or your mobile device, and I found the process to be very easy, and you can access the catalog of movies, TV shows, music, and also video games. Further checking this in-flight entertainment system, I was pleased to actually see that they did have a flight map. The seat doesn't have much features, including a device holder, so very likely you'll have to stand it on your device case on a tray table, so you may not be able to watch the content during meal service, which came just a bit later. During this flight, there were some bumps along the way, so the fasten seatbelt sign was turned on and off regularly, and this included while they were doing the meal service. A flight attendant was distributing the meals without the trays, which those on my row and some of the surrounding areas would get later on. I do assume that this was due to the turbulence and to help speed up the process of distributing the meals, which we had the choices of either pork adobo or chicken teriyaki. I selected the chicken teriyaki, which I would say the portions for both the chicken and the rice was more than adequate. I couldn't complain as the rice was perfectly cooked, and while it's not the most impressive chicken teriyaki I've ever had, it was good enough. For the rest of the flight, we were asked to close the window shades, so the cabin was very dark despite this being a morning flight. We would continue to experience some bumps along the way, and the fasten seatbelt sign would continue to be turned on and off by the captain. Before long, we would be near the completion of the nearly 4-hour flight to Manila, and the cabin crew would help begin the preparations for landing. While the interiors of the Airbus A321 may not be the latest and most fancy, compared to airlines that I have also done flight reports such as Malaysia Airlines and Singapore Airlines, I think the highlights for me for this flight was actually the meal service and also the friendly flight crew, which despite the constant turning on and off of the fasten seatbelt sign, which as a result they did have to suspend the services during those times, they still managed to get the job done. While the en route weather was not the greatest, it was just a beautiful departure from Guam in the early morning, and I'm very glad that you got to experience it along with me on this flight report and on this channel. Not to mention the clear morning arrival at Manila Airport, which you'll also be seeing in a bit. I do understand that Philippine Airlines on some of their newer Airbus A321s, especially the Neos, they do have some of the newer interiors of the airline, including the IFEs. If given a chance to fly on one of the newer aircraft, that could definitely be done as another flight report. As for how I think Philippine Airlines could step up their game in the regional flights, I definitely would love to see more uniformity with all of their A321s, including the Neos, featuring the latest interiors, along with the other aircraft. One major thing I noticed that was lacking was a USB charging port, something that has become a main feature on economy seats of competing airlines, including that of Cebu Pacific on their A321 Neos as well as their A330s. Also, I do hope that Philippine Airlines is looking into getting internet access for all flights, domestic and international, as more global airlines are offering in-flight internet. With that said, still, this was a very smooth flight experience and we made for an on-time arrival into Manila. At Manila, Philippine Airlines operates their international flights to and from Terminal 1. So if you are transferring to domestic flights, you'll be taking a bus to Terminal 2. Those who are transiting to other international destinations will remain at Terminal 1. Despite being one of the more older terminals at the Manila Airport, It seems to give Philippine Airlines more room to operate their international flights to and from Manila, especially for the additional security checks for the Philippine Airlines operated flights to the US. Not to mention a more comfortable pre-boarding experience and restroom access that we didn't have at Terminal 2 before. Overall, this is one of the more fun flights I've had to do a flight report on. Despite the early morning departure, I got some good views for more stock footage for the channel, but also to produce this flight report, which I hope you enjoyed. I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Flights in Asia. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
Mabuhay, Philippine Airlines welcomes you to Manila.